What's poppin'? Welcome back to the Shuffle Squad. Zach Lesage here. We're going to be going over the top 10 best decks. We just had Sacramento Regionals finish off. We got Lille Regionals coming up, Toronto Regionals coming up, and that rounds out our Pokemon 151 format. If you're trying to prepare for any of those events, local events, online events, or just trying to play some Pokemon, watch this video. All of our lists are going to be available in the pinned comments. And of course, if you're looking for any of these cards, go into our description for our discounts at PTCGL store, at Deco Gaming, and Atlas Collectibles for your best sources on sealed, singles, and PTCGL codes. That being said, let's jump into this video. Want to support the Shuffle Squad? Be sure to check out all of our sponsors in the description to pick up Pokemon TCG singles, sealed, and PTCG live codes. Kicking it off at number 10 this week, we have Tina. Tina has kind of lost its way in this metagame because it's not necessarily having the same kind of middle-of-the-road approach it did. It actually has a decent bit of unfavorable matchups in the metagame, including Lost Zone box decks and colorless Lugia decks. Now, Single Strike Lugia is not necessarily in the format, but Lugia in general and Lost Zone in general are tough matchups for this deck. If you're trying to beat Charizard and that's what you're facing in your local metagame, that's really where this deck can shine. But a lot of the time, this deck just doesn't get all the way there anymore. So unfortunately, we're going to have to put it down at number 10. However, I do think this deck has a chance to pop up in the future if the right cards align. Basically, we need to see less Lugia and less Lost Zone box. However, with both of those decks really taking up a lot of the top 8s when it came towards Sacramento Regionals, this deck is really not where it's supposed to be, and it's hanging on by a thread at number 10. We have Mew coming in at number 9, and this is Rowan Stavenow's list from the top 8 of Peoria Regionals. We saw this list see success, and the Luxray Grabber combo with Path and Judge can be very interesting. However, a lot of players have transitioned this strategy onto Miraidon decks that we might see a little bit later on in this list. With a lot of players being able to counter Mew and Spiritombs really coming in clutch at Sacramento to hold Mew off, Mew's really in this position of, it's down here for now. If Spiritomb and other counters go away for a bit, Mew might find its way over at the top again. Decks like Mew typically only do really well when they're not getting countered for, so right now, while it's at number 9, things can change and make it better. We might need to wait this one out a little bit in order for it to see success. As we get into our number 8 deck, we want to put it out here where this is Arceus Duraludon, but it kind of functions as an Arc pile deck, and you might hear the word pile thrown around there. Second place at Sacramento, we saw Arc Gyarados. I saw some Arc Tinas, I saw some Arc Klefkis. I'm putting Arceus at number 8. And I arguably think that Braden Elford, whose list this is the best way to be playing this deck right now. That doesn't necessarily mean that can change, but Arceus decks in general have found their way back into the metagame, and they can kind of counter particular decks with whatever partner you want to put in here. In this case, we can counter colorless Lugia, and we have Mawile to trap up other things up active. In fact, we have double Mawile to trap up things up active. Arceus being able to go Path to the Peak, Charons, and kind of loop itself over and over. There's a lot of opportunities when it comes to these different Arc builds. So while, again, this is Arc Duraludon at number 8, there could be better ways to be playing this deck, or different ways to be playing this deck that are also equally as acceptable, if not better. So stay tuned for more of those. Arc is acceptable in this metagame. It's not the best deck, but it certainly can do well, and I just wanted to kind of clear that up. Shivery chillin' all its way into number 7 is Chien-Pao EX. Now, Chien-Pao EX might seem a little bit low here. However, I do want to put it out there that this is a casino deck. That's really the term that a lot of the Canadians that play this deck really try to put it out there, where it's like, if you're running hot, this deck is not losing. If you're not running hot, this deck is not winning. So if you're really trying to spike for one of those top placements, Chien-Pao is probably going to be one of your better decks. If you're okay with also having a rough day, Chien-Pao is probably going to be that deck. This deck is not really a middle-of-the-road approach. It's going winning or losing. And you might be like, okay, that's kind of the same thing for every other deck. However, when you're ripping through your deck with Pokestop and you're trying to find 3 item cards and not trying to find your 2 copies of Baxcalibur, that's really where it's at. So this is Grant Shen's list that just top 16 in Sacramento. Very strong list. However, it can get unlucky. So that's the other thing going on with it. Shredding its way into number 6 is Turbo Lost Zone Box. Now, we can see that this build is a pretty standard Turbo Lost Zone Box deck that does contain Tropius instead of playing other techs here. We might see a Drapion, we might see a Tropius, depending on if you're running into Mew VMAX, or if you're running into Charizard EX. In this case, Charizard EX is a large portion of the metagame, and I'd probably be playing something similar to this. This is similar to Alex Szymanski's list that they played at Peoria Regional Championships, or maybe not Peoria, maybe it wasn't Peoria, maybe it's Pittsburgh. All these events are getting screwed up in my head. However, this deck's just going to accelerate a bunch of energies with Mirage Gate to your right attackers once you get 7 into the Lost Zone and go from there. After that, you're going to be using Sableye or your attackers however you want in the late game. Turbo is probably slightly favored against Kyogre. However, it doesn't necessarily get the big Kyogre boom that other decks do at the end of the game, and that alternate kind of win con. Although Kyogre places those damage counters at doing 250, 250, it does kind of play out as like an alternate win con to just wipe out your reigning prize cards. So right now this is at number 6. Could place up a little bit higher. I think most of the decks in the top 7 are probably really staple decks that are kind of fluid and move through lines, but right now we have this one at number 6 base off placements. Burning its way into number 5 spot is Charizard EX with Pidgeot, otherwise known as Arvencharizard. Now, this is a updated build from what I played at the Sacramento Regional Championships. I got my 3rd day 2 in a row, my 2nd day 2 in a row with Charizard EX, and I mean, I think this deck is very good. It's middle of the road, so it's middle of our rankings. It beats Lugia, it holds its own against Miraidon, and everything else it's pretty equal with for the most part. The Radiant Serena really helping out there a lot. It loses to Tina, but however, Tina's at the bottom of the list. If I was going into Lille Regionals, this is probably the deck that I'd play, not just because I want to play it 3 weeks in a row, because I think it's actually better positioned going into Lille. We'll have to see where it's at for Toronto, but right now, this would be a really good choice and a really good list if you're trying to play this deck in any capacity going forward. Zapping its way into number 4, we have Miraidon. Now, you might be like, yo, Zach, didn't we talk about Luxray a second ago? We did talk about Luxray a second ago, and a lot of people seem to be on this deck more than I thought more people would be, or at least this tech card of Luxray. Seeing the Grabber Mew seeing success at Peoria, you were like, huh, Luxray is kind of lightning type, right? And we could play that in a lightning type deck. So I think Luxray might do it a little bit better with this deck having the combination of Zapdos, Luxray V, and Cleansing Gloves to knock out a Comfey. You can use that with Judge Path and really rip your opponent's hand to shreds, giving you a slightly better chance against a Lost Zone Box deck that's quite popular, with Lugia seeing a lot of success and Lost Zone Box probably trailing off a little bit. Miraidon looks like it's making some moves this week, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw this deck, including this exact list, crushing it down at Lille Regionals. Yo, here we're at our number 3 spot, Gardevoir EX. Gardevoir EX has been seeing a lot of success at our regional so far, with it having some top 8 spots, including this past weekend in Sacramento. I think this is just the default standard build that I want to go with. If not, I think it's towards standard build, except I still like the routes that has the opportunity to knock out Gardevoirs in Mirror. Teleportation Burst might be better for you. I really don't think it matters too much about the routes as long as we're not going with all 60 HP routes. I still like Memory Skip for Charizard EX. However, my personal preference is to go with the Psyshot routes from Scarlet and Violet. Nothing else really is going to change my mind about this particular list right now. We could see lists that play upwards of 12 Psychic Energies. We could see lists with Lumineon, without Lumineon. I've heard a bunch of different tech options that you could add into this deck. This is a list that's probably seen the most success, or a similar list that's seen a lot of success. So this is the one that I'm going to default go to from now on. But if I change anything, I'll be sure to keep y'all updated. Summoning its way all the way to number 2 is Colorless Lugia. Now, Colorless Lugia has been seeing a bit of success, and it saw a lot of success at our most recent regionals, having 4 of the top 8 spots at Sacramento. Right now, we got Charlie Kerr's list, very similar to Charlie Kerr's list, I should say. I changed a couple cards. They've seen the most success with Colorless Lugia in our format, making top 32, just underneath the top 16 at Peoria, and top 8 at Sacramento. Their triple Snorlax build, 3/3 Lugia build is correct. I do like the Luxray reversal energy, and I do like a second Burnett when it comes to this deck. However, those preferences can also be changed toward Charlie's deck if you have any concerns about what I'm offering here. This deck should have a really good Lost Zone Box matchup, so I do think a lot of people are going to really be like, yeah, Lugia just saw a lot of success, let's go back to Lugia, which might make Charizard arguably a better pick going forward. And that's how our metagame's going to continuously continuously rotating. I think right now we're between Lost Zone Box, Miraidon, and Colorless Lugia. Gardevoir lives in the middle where it can kind of hold its own against everything, and Charizard looks to see if it's turned where Miraidon and Colorless Lugia are seeing the most success, and Lost Zone Box decks are staying away. Most of the decks in the top are going to remain top decks, so if you're looking for a top deck, these are top decks to choose from. Aqua storming its way into our number 1 spot is Lost Zone Kyogre. And I think Azul said it best when he's like, shout out to Andrew Estrada for choosing our deck for the remaining of the regional championships. And I think that's probably kind of funny because Andrew won Pittsburgh with a similar list to this, Lost Zone Kyogre. Raymond Long then won with Lost Zone Kyogre. We didn't see Lost Zone win in Sacramento. That was a little bit odd where we had two new to regionals players making the finals. However, we also saw Sawyer Melbourne make top 4 with, again, Kyogre, and Azul made top 8 with Kyogre. I like the Lightning build more of this deck because I don't really feel like I have a lot of options against Lugia when I'm playing the Zamazenta build. Raikou being able to knocking out a Lugia in one shot is pretty good, and Dragonite being able to turn one knockout Pokemon V and stuff like that, also very good. So this is my current take on the deck. However, if you want to play either Andrew's list or Raymond's list, Sawyer's list, Azul's list, whatever list you want to play, those would all be good lists to go from. So I think that this is a very cool deck to play as we go forward. Wouldn't really change too much about it. That being said, that's our number 1 deck. Will it continue to see success at Lille? I'm not sure. We'll see. I don't think there's many European players that typically play Kyogre, or at least I haven't necessarily seen that. So we might not see this deck as number 1, but maybe we'll see a lot more people eager to try it out as it's seen success. Which decks do I think are going to be coming up on top at Lille? If I think a deck's going to win the tournament, I'm going to give it to Charizard because Charizard probably deserves that spot. Hasn't top 8'd yet in this format. However, I think it could definitely get there. Am I wrong? Am I right? Let me know in the comments below. But this is what we got for our number 1 deck overall, and I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Let me close things out. Thanks so much for watching, and stay tuned for more great content from the Shuffle Squad. If you want to get more exclusive content from us, consider becoming a Patreon member at patreon.com/TSSWin for access to our lists, articles, and more. So that being said, I'll catch up with all y'all later. Peace out and have a great one. Hey trainers, tired of having too many cards lying around? I know that feeling, and I know what a hassle it is to try and sell those cards. But selling bulk is now easier than ever with TCG Bulk. Find tons of potential buyers in a single place. You just download the app, look for the best buyer near you, and carefully pack your bulk, ship it, and you get paid. It really is that simple. Turn the cards you don't want into the cards you absolutely need for your next deck. You made it to the end. Thank you so much for watching this entire video from the Shuffle Squad. Honestly, from the bottom of our hearts, we appreciate each and every person that supports our content, watches what we have going on every single day, every single week, even from time to time, and continuously allows us to have a forum to project our creative content towards the Pokemon TCG community. So if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and even leave a comment to help boost the YouTube algorithm. That being said, we'll catch you with our next video. Thanks again. Take it easy.